Video opens with a medium shot of Dr. James in a professional but approachable setting, like an office with bookshelves or a clean, modern backdrop. He looks directly at the camera with a serious but empathetic expression. "Hello, I'm Dr. James, and if you're watching this, you've probably heard the incredible, almost miraculous stories about immunotherapy. We've seen it on the news. Read articles about patients with advanced melanoma or lung cancer who were told they had months, only to be cured by treatments that unleash their own immune systems. It's been one of the biggest breakthroughs in oncology in a generation. So, when you or a loved one is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, it's often the very first question you ask your oncologist. The first thing you search for online. Why not for me? Why can't immunotherapy do for pancreatic cancer what it's done for these other diseases? It's a fair, logical, and deeply personal question. The answer, unfortunately, is complex, and it's one that can feel incredibly frustrating. But it's crucial to understand it. Today, we're going to break it down, separating the genuine hope from the current, hard reality. To really grasp the challenge, we first need to be crystal clear on what immunotherapy is. For decades, our primary weapons against cancer were chemotherapy and radiation, essentially poisons and focused energy beams designed to kill rapidly dividing cells. They don't distinguish very well between a cancer cell and a healthy cell that just happens to be dividing quickly, like those in your hair follicles or the lining of your stomach, which is why they come with such difficult side effects. Immunotherapy is a fundamentally different approach. It's a treatment that doesn't target the cancer directly at all. Instead, its job is to awaken and empower your body's own defense force, the immune system. Think of your immune system's T cells as highly trained soldiers constantly patrolling your body for threats. Cancer cells, being clever adversaries, have developed ways to disguise themselves. They put up molecular signals that essentially tell these T cell soldiers, "Nothing to see here, move along." What many of today's most successful immunotherapies do, drugs called checkpoint inhibitors, is block those deceptive signals. It's like taking the brakes off the immune system. Once the brakes are off, the T cells can finally recognize the cancer cells for what they are, invaders, and launch a powerful, precise attack. When it works, it's not just a treatment. It's your own body doing the healing, which is why the results can be so durable and profound. Now, we come to the difficult part of our conversation, and I want to be very direct with you. For the vast majority of patients with pancreatic cancer, the immunotherapies that have been so revolutionary in other cancers have not been the game changer we all hoped for. Not yet. When we look at the clinical trial data for checkpoint inhibitors used as a standalone treatment in typical pancreatic adenocarcinoma, the response rates are disappointingly low, often in the single digits. This is the blunt scientific truth, and it's a source of immense frustration for patients, families, and for us, the researchers and clinicians in the field. We see the power of this approach elsewhere, and it is agonizing that we haven't been able to apply it broadly to this specific disease. It can feel like being locked outside a banquet while everyone else feasts. So, the most important question isn't if it works, but why it doesn't work for most pancreatic cancer patients. The answer lies in the unique, hostile territory where this cancer lives, what we call the tumor microenvironment. If a melanoma tumor is like an open battlefield where immune cells can rush in once the brakes are off, a pancreatic tumor is an entirely different beast. It's an almost impenetrable fortress. This fortress is built from a dense fibrous material called the stroma, which acts like a physical wall, literally blocking T cells from even reaching the cancer cells. It's like trying to send soldiers into a castle surrounded by a thick, concrete shield. But it gets worse. Even the few immune cells that manage to get inside this fortress are immediately suppressed. The tumor and its allies release a cocktail of chemical signals that effectively drug the T cells, putting them to sleep or even converting them into cells that help the tumor grow. In oncology, we have a metaphor for this. We talk about hot tumors and cold tumors. A hot tumor, like many melanomas, is already inflamed and filled with T cells, ready to fight. You just need to take the brakes off. A pancreatic tumor is the definition of a cold tumor. It's immunologically barren, actively hostile to immune cells, and invisible to the immune system. Giving a checkpoint inhibitor to a patient with a cold tumor is like releasing the brakes on a car that has no soldiers in it to begin with. The fortress remains untouched. But, and this is the most critical word in this entire discussion, But that is not where the story ends. This is where the front line of research is pushing forward every single day. We understand the fortress. We know why it's called. So, the entire strategy has now shifted from simply trying to take the brakes off to finding ways to blast open the castle gates and turn these cold tumors hot. This is the most exciting area in pancreatic cancer research today. Scientists are testing countless combinations. For instance, we're combining immunotherapy with chemotherapy. The idea here is that chemotherapy, while killing some cancer cells, also creates damage and inflammation. This chaos can act as a distress signal, attracting immune cells to the tumor and potentially making it more receptive to the immunotherapy. We're doing the same with radiation, using its focused energy not just to kill cancer cells, but to stir up the immune environment and make the tumor hot. Beyond that, a wave of new drugs is being developed to specifically dismantle the fortress itself. There are drugs designed to break down that dense stroma, clearing a path for the T-cells. There are other agents aimed at blocking the chemical signals that put the T-cells to sleep once they get inside. It's a two-pronged attack, one drug to breach the walls and another to wake up the soldiers. Furthermore, we must acknowledge that not all pancreatic cancers are the same. A very small subset of patients, perhaps 1 to 2%, have a specific genetic biomarker called microsatellite instability high, or MSI high. For these specific patients, their tumors are already hot, and checkpoint inhibitors can work remarkably well. This is why genomic testing of your tumor is so absolutely critical. For that small group, immunotherapy is not a future hope, it is a current, powerful reality. This targeted approach is a model for where the entire field is headed. Understanding the specific biology of each person's cancer to determine the right strategy to make their immune system a warrior against their disease. So, let's return to our original question and deliver the final verdict. Is immunotherapy for pancreatic cancer just hype? Absolutely not. The science is real, it is profound, and it represents the most promising path toward long-term survival and even cures. The fundamental principle of using our own bodies to fight cancer is sound. But is it a current game changer for the average patient walking into the clinic today? The honest answer is no, not yet. We are not there. However, it is the most critical and intensely active field of research for this disease. The work being done right now in labs and clinical trials is all about learning how to turn that not yet into now. The game is changing, just much, much slower than any of us would like. And our job, as your doctors and as scientists, is to keep pushing that frontier forward, to turn that fortress into a battlefield we can win. Thank you for listening.